Training camp is in full swing, and the season is fastly approaching for the New York Giants. What's going on, everyone? Nick Filato here to discuss one of the early darlings of Giants training camp, and that is undrafted rookie Elijah Chatman out of SMU. The former three-star recruit out of Shreveport, Louisiana, played 5 seasons at SMU with just under 2,000 career defensive snaps. He earned 80 pressures, 13 and a half sacks, and 34 and a half tackles for a loss as a 5'11, 278-pound full-grown man. And that's exactly how he plays. Giants defensive line coach Andre Patterson may chew your ass if you refer to Chatman as a little. Here's what the esteemed coach had to say about the rookie UDFA.
Elijah's done a great job so far. He's a strong, powerful, explosive kid. He's short. He's not little, right? That's the thing that I keep telling people. There's two different things. You know, he's probably the strongest guy on the team.
Chatman's low leverage and solid length make him more of an asset than a liability when coupled with his strong core and legs that allow him to act as a block-eating fire hydrant against the run. He's 0 percentile in height, which is one reason why he went undrafted, but he does have 35th percentile length with 32 and 3/4 inch arms. He's also quick off the jump. He ran a 4.85 40-yard dash. That's in the 90th percentile for defensive tackles with a 1.71 10-yard split, which is 75th percentile. All this was done at his pro day. Shane Bowen has stressed penetration and an aggressive attacking style for his defensive vision. There's a reason why Chatman is garnering attention and praise from the Giants coaching staff. There's a role to be seized, and I'll give you 5 different aspects of Chatman's game that could help him secure an opportunity to play alongside Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns, and Kayvon Thibodeau in certain defensive packages for the Giants this season. Here are those 5 characteristics he has to offer.
Just going back to the front a little bit, the role for a penetrator, is that something that you'd be interested in?
Yes.
Okay.
Like I want guys that attack. We're going to be structured by having 4 elite pass rushers up front.
Please excuse my dog Phoenix, who loves hogging the spotlight, but the first thing I want to go over with Elijah Chatman is just his overall athletic ability. We went through some of those numbers before, and they pop on tape, and it's that athletic ability, which is his quickness off the snap, his explosiveness, his pop on contact, his lateral agility, and also his flexibility, as you could see here a little bit as he lands this rip move, bends into the pocket against a Power 5 school. This is Oklahoma he's going up against. 3 technique, fire inside after setting the offensive guard up to the left, the offense's left. You can see how he uses his inside hand to get hip to hip and to stop the momentum of that guard from getting over to him after the guard commits to the outside. And then look how low he is. It's so difficult for an offensive guard when you combine the low leverage with that lateral agility and that power and that force to gain access to his chest. So he just lands that rip move, lifts up, and he completely separates from the guard, goes right into the pocket and gets a sack against Oklahoma. You could see plays like this all throughout his tape. You're going to see it from the nose tackle spot. This is a very good play, not just because he combines the club swim, which he flashed so much throughout his tape, but it's also a processing play. The center is directly over top of the nose, who is Elijah Chatman. The center opens up to the left, and then he sees Chatman, that is, the left guard pull to the right. So obviously it's not going to be a running play. So the play action is nullified in Chatman's mind. So Chatman knows he has to beat the right guard now because it's going to be a play action. He is in full. I don't need to play the run mode because he uses his processing to see the blocking scheme and understand that's not what they're doing, right? They're not running the football. So I'm just going to use my hand usage, which we'll go over here in a little bit. Club, swim over the top. You see the power in the club. You can get right in to the quarterback. Quarterback does a good job finding an option. But this play is blown up by Elijah Chatman. Give credit where it is due. See him hustling too throughout the play till the whistle. Talk about that a little later as well. Here we're going to see 2 eye shade, split the block. He gets very tight and very narrow, very skinny through these tight crevices, right? You see hands again, chop, swim, pry. Do not allow the inside hand to contact you from the center, and then do not allow the offensive guard to block your path through the A-gap. And he does that. Because of that quickness and that explosiveness, that burst, it leads to that interception. See another club swim. Loves to do this. Does a great job with his first couple steps. They're quick. Like, this kid was undrafted because of his height. All right. He didn't have a ton of college production. And these are highlights. Again, this isn't something that you see every play on tape, but what you're watching right now is not something that you typically find from a lot of UDFAs. And it's not like he's doing this against Division III schools. Now, there was Oklahoma, there's some TCU tape in here, but there's also Tulsa, ECU, schools of that ilk. Now, those are not schools that represent the NFL too often, but you can see how he moves different. See it here. This is before Andre Patterson got to teaching him about hand technique. And you can see how the hand technique combined with those natural athletic skills are something that threatens offenses. And on this play, go to the inside, strong inside hand move. Stays square. So many times when he separates here, he is square to the quarterback once he creates that separation. He gets the offensive lineman so out of position with all the traits that we've been talking about that he gets square to the quarterback, and the quarterback is just screwed before he even hits his back foot. Now I want to talk about hand usage, which we saw plenty of in the quickness section. But the hand usage, it's damn good, man. It's pretty damn good for an undrafted kid. 3 technique. Watch how he gets his guard to overset way too much. Striking point with that inside hand. I am going to strike the back of your deltoid, your scapula, and then I'm going to use my strength to force you further to the direction where you overset, and I'm just going to bring my opposite arm, my outside arm, and violently chop down on your inside arm. And he does that, and he gets held throughout this play, but it doesn't matter. It still results in a quarterback sack where he gets half of it. His teammates end up rallying and making that sack. But you can see how quick it is. The center peers in that direction, has to respect number 24. This is the importance of alignment. Has to respect number 24. And that respect that he pays at 24 holds him up just long enough to allow Chatman to finish this sack. Here again, just so quick. Flash. From a one shade, splits the guard and the tackle. Guard is just left in the dust. You want Chatman to finish that sack up, but the play is completely blown up, forces this throw, which goes a little bit too early, and it ends up going incomplete. You could see on this play, and he was really challenging ECU throughout the tape, varying his pass rush, stringing moves together, all things you want to see from a young player. You see how he chops his feet there, right? Throughout this tape, you'll see him chop his feet like this and then go to the inside. But this is a half slide towards the left, the offensive left. So towards Chatman and the edge and the linebacker who ends up blitzing. So Chatman doesn't go back to the inside. He ends up challenging to the outside initially, sees that the guard oversets that way, and then he is able to land the move that he wants to get into the pocket that forces this interception. This is a very good move by him. 4 eye shade, 3 technique, whatever you want to call him. He's in the middle of the B gap. See, hits with the stepping on 1,000 ants, as we call it when wide receivers do this. What's his arms going to do? Acts like he's going outside, gets the offensive guard to commit. Let me work back to the inside with, again, a strong swim move. This isn't necessarily a club, but he grabs cloth, which you want him to do. You grab the cloth at the inside of that offensive guard, and then you use basically like a slingshot method to propel your momentum through the inside of the offensive guard. And you use that swimming hand to hit the offensive guard to help your own momentum into the pocket. Ends up being a pick. See another play against ECU where this is something that you see from big defensive linemen, right? Not guys who are 5'11" typically. And this is a snatch. Sees the offensive guard leaning a lot throughout the game, leaning into contact, being a little bit aggressive with his set and not passive. Chatman times this rush up well, catches the offensive guard doing that, and just uses his strength to throw the offensive guard to the deck, knocks the tackle down, and then he separates and gets into the pocket, almost causes another interception. Little snatch. Love to see that, man. Love to see that from a young player. The variety is something that is impressive. Now let's discuss power. Elijah Chatman has more power than anticipated. And you're going to see it in this bull rush where he bench presses number 76 right back into the pocket. See how low he gets. He's low into contact, helmet lower, hips lower. And then he's able to use that lower body flexion to roll his hips into the contact and that strength and that length, again, around 35th percentile in arm length, create separation. Do not get breath to breath, mouth to mouth with the offensive lineman, and then use your power to crush the play. It's exactly what he does. You can see that on this play as well. It starts a little bit late, but he is able to get his eyes on this quarterback to see if it's going to be run, going to be pass in the goal line, understands that it is pass. So he is able to lift the outside arm of the offensive guard while using his inside arm as a long arm to kind of pry open the offensive guard, to get his hips almost into a poor position to really defend against an outside rush. That's exactly what happens, because the offensive guard is not in a position to make this block, because Chatman does such a good job prying him open with his power. You think about this, man, you've seen a lot of double teams throughout this film. You're not going to see a lot of double teams when you have Dexter Lawrence, Kayvon Thibodeau, and Brian Burns rushing the passer. Here's one of those double teams where the tackle just kind of gets hit with a strong outside arm punch, pop on contact. You see, guard tries to help. Elijah Chatman has to dip around that. I love when defensive linemen can kind of contort their upper body around contact. You see that there's a guard who's trying to help, so you take a wide step to the outside and then reduce the surface area of your chest and attack the tackle. And you can see how there's a bend to him right now. This is an unnatural looking position, but he's still able to effectively rush and employ power from this position because he is an athlete. He has an angular build and he has flexibility throughout his joints. He's able to unlock that power and then get through the inside of the tackle to help with the sack. Let's talk about Shane Bowen's defense. Shane Bowen's defense doesn't blitz as much as Wink Martindale's, but we know he likes to run a lot of different and creative twists. Well, SMU did that with Elijah Chatman. You're going to see that on the play that I'm running right at the moment against Maryland. You're going to have Elijah Chatman as a 3 technique. You're going to sugar the A-gap with both linebackers. The linebacker towards Elijah Chatman is going to penetrate the A-gap, and Chatman's going to open to the outside and then go right off the ass of 6. Now, this play is designed to get Elijah Chatman isolated against that running back, but the running back ends up taking 6 as well, and Elijah Chatman runs right into the pocket untouched. It's the timing that I really appreciate from Chatman. Timing and the quickness, of course, that I appreciate from Chatman on this play to blow up this Maryland passing attack results in a couple yards rushing. But there are a lot of twists from SMU, and there were a lot of twists from Shane Bowen in Tennessee, and I think Chatman's going to factor into that, especially with Dexter Lawrence. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Here you see how low he gets. This is just a simple defensive tackle, twist. Chatman as the looper. That guard is tasked. This is not zone blocking, so looks like B.O.B. The guard is trying to stop Chatman, but look how high he is in the contact. Chatman can just bend around it. And then at this point, Chatman square to the quarterback. And this is an obvious hold because the guard has no position to block Chatman because Chatman is so low to the damn ground, playing with excellent leverage. Just goes right into the pocket, ends up flushing this quarterback out. And then there's this one. You want to talk about explosiveness? You want to talk about burst? You want to talk about lateral agility? Look at Chatman. He's aligned as a 2-eye, and he's able to loop in just a few steps, 1, 2, 3, all the way to the outside shoulder of the guard. And then once he realizes that he's just one-on-one with the guard and this is going to be a designed screen pass, you can see the bend right now. He starts to bend through the contact of the outside portions of this guard who doesn't really do a great job cutting the angle off. And he helps clean up that sack. One more time just to show regular speed how quick and fast and efficient he is with his feet to get to that position. He is there quick and he adapts to exactly what's happening and he ends up coming away with a sack. We've already seen it quite a bit, but motor and energy are another thing that you get from Elijah Chatman. You see it a lot throughout this. All 5 of the things that we're going over: quickness, hand usage, power, his ability to twist, control his body movements, motor, energy, all that throughout all 5 of these sections. Here's one where you see power and hand usage and motor and energy. And he got some quickness too. But you want somebody who wants to play football. You want somebody who's going to hustle. Well, Elijah Chatman is your guy. And here's another play where he gets to the outside and tries to cut this angle off. Quarterback ends up throwing an incomplete pass. So you have a guy who's going to try his ass off, which is what you expect from a UDFA. If he's not doing that, well, that's not a good thing. shouldn't be a problem at all for Elijah Chatman, who is number 94 on your screen right now. This is from the week 1 preseason game against the Detroit Lions, where he is a 4-eye shade to the right side of the screen. And this isn't the best use of hands, but you could just see how his low leverage helps create the havoc of this play that leads to the Benton Whitley sack, because he is able to combine his power with that low leverage to not allow Nate Sudfeld to step up, and Benton Whitley ends up coming around the edge, makes a nice sack. But watch how the offensive guard tries to contact him. Look, he tries to go through Chatman, that is, the B gap. The guard ends up attacking, but he attacks the top of his numbers because he has no access to Elijah Chatman's chest. And you can see how Chatman is able to re-dip himself, explode up, and then there's no coil in the hips of the offensive guard. He is completely exhausted at this point. And what I mean by exhausted is there's no way he can reestablish leverage with the position that Chatman put himself in. So the guard just gets walked back. Chatman ends up crashing into the pocket, ends up being a sack. Again, another 4-eye shade play to the right side of your screen. Guard does a solid job because he oversets, and then the guard ends up mirroring to the inside, but Chatman just works himself free with some hand usage. And Sudfeld didn't really help his guard out on this point. I'm wondering if the guard thought the center was going to come in that direction. He did not. He went towards Jordan Phillips, who is no longer a Giant. One reason why Jordan Phillips is no longer a Giant is because of Elijah Chatman, DJ Davidson, and Jordan Riley and their ascension through camp. But this is another hustle sack by Chatman, and he deserves this one. Should have had it the first time, right? Get inside. Good eyes, good eyes, good eyes. Just misses getting Nate Sudfeld. Nate Sudfeld sets up again. Chatman ends up cleaning it up. Let me see that motor. Let me see that energy. Energize a bunny. Now we get one more over here. 4-eye as well. Sets up to the B gap. Go right inside. Bend through. Force Hendon Hooker off his spot. And Hendon Hooker ends up getting tackled for a very minimal gain. Look, Elijah Chatman, no one really thought much of him going into training camp, and he's been one of the biggest risers throughout the process so far. And with the Jordan Phillips trade, with the fact that the Giants are desperately looking for a penetrating 3 technique, look no further right now than Elijah Chatman. I think they might still add somebody when final cuts come around, but Elijah Chatman will likely see some snaps. I project him to make the 53-man roster as of right now. There's still 2 preseason games that need to be played, so there's still a lot that can happen, but Chatman is getting praise from Shane Bowen, from Andre Patterson, from Brian Dable, and I think it's a rightful praise at this point, and I'm really hoping that this UDFA makes a team, because I think he can be a really useful player playing alongside Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns, and Kayvon Thibodeau in certain passing packages. Thank you, everyone. I am Nick Filato signing off. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please like and comment on the video, and have a lovely day.